Hi, Royce Morales, transformational facilitator and radio show host on healthylife.net and teacher of spirituality, all kinds of things on my resume. I've been talking to you about mirroring, how everything that you push down is going to come up in some way. Take a listen to those 3 videos that I posted recently about the mirror effect. And just so you know, if you haven't listened to those, let me just explain it real basically. I always use the analogy of a seesaw. Push down one side of a seesaw, it's going to come up somewhere. And that's how energy works. That's how our thoughts work. That's anything that we're suppressing about ourselves, an emotion, a fear, a belief system, an attitude, a button, all of those things. If we push them down, they come up in some physical way by others either acting a certain way or stating to us whatever it is that we're pushing down, or maybe even manifesting physical issues because of that, attracting that in our life in some way. But what I wanted to talk about today, which is really exciting, and that is that quantum physics has actually proven with evidence that that is true. They have confirmed that atoms have no weight, no structure. In other words, what they're saying is that nothing is real that you're looking at. And they've also, with their wonderful brains, have proven that energy is only conscious when witnessed and interacted with. And they also have said that cells, even at a distance, are interconnected and get affected by things that are going on from a distance. So that just proves everything that I've been teaching for decades and us metaphysical types have been espousing for forever. So I want to talk about what that means for those of us on a spiritual path. It proves that everything inside of you is affecting everything else. There is no separation. Everything is interconnected. You might have experienced some of this in your own life, but maybe didn't have a label for it. But now that it's proven scientifically, we can all label it as quantum physics. So I want to give you an example. Enough with the theorizing here. It's not my forte, but my forte is telling you stories about what actually happens from doing this work. So here's the example. A student of mine was struggling for weeks to find a place to move. His house had sold and he was looking at apartments, and wherever it was that he looked, either there was something wrong with the place, or it was too expensive, or he would apply and never hear back from them. It was just so frustrating for this student. And he had to be out of his home in 2 weeks because people were moving in. So he said, okay, well, I'm going to do some inner work. And he called me up and said, okay, I know that I'm sabotaging this in some way for some reason. Can you help me? So I said, okay. And we got together. And what this person got in touch with was a part of him, 2 things he got in touch with. A part of him was saying, I don't really, deserve to have the place of my dreams. And, maybe I'll just live in my car. He had like this real self-sabotage going on and kind of had given up. He was in hopelessness about it. Didn't understand why it was going on and felt hopeless. The other part of him was thinking to himself, God, what I'd really like to do is live in the ideal place that I've always dreamed of living, but there's no way that I could ever do that. It's way too expensive. So we looked at those 2 notions, and what he got in touch with was, a part of him was, yes, self-sabotaging, and it came from lack of deservingness, which I do find all the time. That's the core of when you get in touch with, things start to shift. So he located some very specific incidents where he decided that he didn't deserve in life, and a lot of it went back to past lives, and he really kind of dug up some real deep roots of all of that and released them. What he also got in touch with in that particular inner journey was really wanting to move to his ideal place, but he had no idea how to do that. Interestingly enough, he went to dinner with some friends and just randomly started, talking about the fact that he always wanted to live in this particular place, but couldn't afford it. And this friend of his looked at him and said, "Really? Let me do some research on that." And she Googled it and immediately found some places that were well within his price range. And he called a real estate agent the next day. And within 2 weeks, right at the end of his need to move, he found the most ideal place ever, perfect for him, even below his economic need. And he moved in, and it all went without a hitch. And he realized that his self-limiting beliefs and his notion about not being able to afford it was just a belief. It wasn't the truth. And what instantly manifested was this perfect place for him to move to. It was not only perfect, but it was a miracle. It really was. And the fact that it went through without a hitch was even a bigger miracle, because he had gone through such struggle and such resistance trying to find an apartment to move into that he didn't even really want to move into. So he shifted his notions, he shifted his beliefs, he shifted his lack of deservingness, and what got mirrored to him was this amazing miracle. And it can happen instantly, even in the real estate market. So that was pretty phenomenal. So I want to share another story showing you how instantly things can shift. And this one is my own personal story. I was teaching a class one night, and I was talking to them about the power of getting in touch with those false beliefs. And I taught them how to assist each other. And I paired them all up, and I had them do some inner work together. And because I was, in my office and it was kind of a small space, several people went to different places around the office, but this one particular couple was right there about 10 feet away from me. So I was kind of eavesdropping on their work. And the person that was working with this one particular man was trying really hard to get him to look at something, and he just wouldn't go there. He was so resistant and so stubborn. He didn't want to go there. And I could see that, the person that was trying to get him there was so frustrated. And I found myself getting really frustrated too. I was, listening to this conversation, and I wanted to jump over there and go, "Come on, get it, take a look." And I realized right then that this particular student was pushing a button of mine, and I had to look at it. And so I just spent about a minute, and I looked at what was being mirrored to me. Again, it was a mirror, I admit it. And what he was mirroring to me was the fact that I was judging my own self for my own resistance. It wasn't always easy for me to get in touch with stuff. I had, I held on, white knuckling it for many times before I would delve in. So he was mirroring my own resistance. He was mirroring the fact that maybe I didn't want to grow and get to my own power. He was mirroring a lot of things to me. I won't go into all those sordid details. But I tell you, the minute I got in touch with that, all of a sudden, from across the room, it was as if something had been unplugged. I had pulled the plug on his resistance, because all of a sudden he just got it. And he took a look and got in touch with what he needed to see about himself. And it was literally like he was the other side of the seesaw that didn't have to be pushed down anymore, because I saw what he was showing to me. Again, it's miraculous to do this, to see those instant results. And I'll tell you, it brought it home to me on a very deep level, because even my students could be accurate reflections of what I, as a teacher, was pushing down and denying and suppressing about myself. So it's thrilling to be able to pull up all of this scientific proof, all these quantum physics people that are showing us, again, that nothing can ever be suppressed and that everything is interconnected. So if you are interested in doing this work and you want to get in touch with whatever it is that's being pushed down in your life, reach out to me. I'd be thrilled to work with you. My website has all my contact information, roycemorales.com. It's all on the information about this video. You can just click and reach me. I would love to work with you. Meanwhile, get in touch with those mirrors. You deserve it, and I'll talk to you soon. Hit subscribe and like so you'll find out all of the videos that I'm putting out once a week. Thank you so much.